And we're back. President Biden vowing to work across the aisle to get things done. But how's that supposed to work when Congress can't even approve his cabinet picks? Avril Haines, the new director of national intelligence, is the only Biden nominee to be confirmed by the Senate. So joining me now, three CNN political commentators, the best in the business, Angela Rye, Hillary Rosen, and Amanda Carpenter. Good evening, good morning. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. Let's talk about working together and bipartisanship. Angela, we saw former presidents join the new president to forge this bipartisanship. How much do you think that helped? Do you think that the optics helped here? And where do we need to go from here, Ms. Rye?
Well, we are 2 weeks removed from a terrorist attack on the United States Capitol, and it was one that was stoked by many members of the Republican Party. I recall when Harry Reid said that Donald Trump was the Republican Party's Frankenstein, and I thoroughly believe that. And so what I think about, Don, as we sit here on, reflecting on today's inauguration, is Maya Angelou when she delivered the poem she delivered at Bill Clinton's inauguration, when she said good morning. And good morning was an invitation for us. Good morning was an invitation for us to take that extra leap, that extra step of faith into hope, into the promise of what America could and should be. And of course, it starts right there at the Capitol. And what that requires is not just a blind leap into, okay, it's time for us to all kiss and make up and to reconcile. What it requires is a real reckoning with the truth. You can't legislate policy and in division. You just can't. And that is what we are living in right now. There is a very divided nation. It is a very divided Congress. And as a result, people really have to reckon with the truth. And before we get to reconciliation, we've got to reckon with the truth. And I think it's a spiritual journey, frankly, that this Congress has to be on in order for us to get to the other side. But you know what? There are people dying, 406,000 so far and counting. So that reconciliation, that reckoning, before that reconciliation has to happen really quickly.
Hillary, let's talk about reconciliation. I think Angela brings up a very good point when you think about where we are in the country, where the Congress is, the Senate, the White House. Biden almost became the first president since at least Jimmy Carter not to win confirmation of a cabinet nominee during his first hours in office. What does that say about reconciliation, where we are, and the GOP agenda?
Well, it says that we have to be skeptical, and I agree with Angela, but I also think that, I'm listening to a 22-year-old today who said we're not here to form a perfect union, we're here to form a union with purpose. That means we have to act. And Joe Biden started that today, I think, with 15 executive orders and 2 agency directives, and I think that when the guilt and shame for some Republicans of 2 weeks ago wears off, I do believe they're going to go back and try and be, obstructionists and push back aggressively. And that means that Joe Biden and the Democrats are going to have to be strong, because actually what we stand for, minimum wage increase, fixing health care, addressing COVID, moving, infrastructure spending. Actually, a majority of the American people want that. So I think we have to watch out for 2 things. We have to try and be bipartisan, but the first time that they block these initiatives, we have to be prepared to be tough. We have to get rid of the filibuster. We have to move legislation with our slim majority, with Kamala Harris sitting in that president of the Senate seat. And we have to not worry, because acting is the best thing on behalf of the American people to bring people together.
And listen, it takes a lot of people, Amanda, to make this work. We remember in 2009, we're going to make him a one-term president. You know what I'm talking about. Because a key part of Biden's success will revolve around McConnell and whether the now Senate Minority Leader he is, if he's willing to play ball. We cannot forget McConnell's approach to Obama. We can't forget how long it took McConnell to come around to admit what happened at the Capitol, to admit that Biden had legitimately won the election. It's going to take more than Joe Biden just saying, we got unity, we've got to reach out, we got to reach out. There has to be cooperation on the other side and a commitment to living in reality. Am I wrong?
Yes. I mean, the reality is Joe Biden has two things that landed on his desk the first day that have the utmost priority, COVID and the attempted coup. I think the Biden administration can unilaterally do a lot of good through the executive branch, just doing good government practice and helping the country contain and overcome coronavirus. And I know a lot of my Democratic friends would like to get going on the progressive agenda, but it is imperative for the country to deal with the reckoning that Angela talked about and get some reconciliation, because what I fear is that both parties will be content to sweep this under the rug. The Democrats will say, listen, he's impeached twice. What more do we need? He's been removed. We want to get going on these other things. And the Republicans will take that as a victory. Donald Trump is exonerated yet again. And I truly fear that the Republican Party will become a fully authoritarian party, because I don't know what else you can call it if Donald Trump and his enablers are not fully rebuked for their role in stoking that insurrection. But I can already see people just wanting to move on for it. It's going to be painful, right? But the Democrats cannot let Mitch McConnell get away with this without at least extracting some kind of political price. I don't know if Donald Trump will be convicted and disqualified. I truly believe he needs to be disqualified from running for office again, but there has to be a price. And I'm sorry the Democrats will need to spend political capital on that, but nothing could be more necessary.
Angela, did you want to respond?
That,
that was Hillary. Go ahead.
Let me just say, I don't think, there's this, can the Senate walk and chew gum at the same time? I think they can. What I'm saying is that the American people come together when we work on their behalf, when their interests are met. That doesn't preclude a reckoning with what we've experienced. That doesn't preclude punishing Donald Trump. I think you can do both.
All right.
I think the Senate, I saw a tweet from John Cornyn, I will just raise, he was responding to reporting from Phil Mattingly about balancing that act. And Phil Mattingly was reporting that someone was saying we can multitask. And John Cornyn, who's #2 in Senate leadership, had a one-word response. Nope. They want you to believe they can't do everything, and they'll grind it to a halt if the Democrats proceed with impeachment. And so
we're going to continue to talk throughout the hour, but I know you want to respond to this quickly, if you will.
Yeah, I just think it's so important. Amanda, again, I know the last time we were on together, I was singing your praises, and I'll do it again. Maybe the reckoning starts here. The fact that you're willing to tell the truth in this way, again, we haven't always agreed. I just think it's so important because this isn't about partisanship. It is about what's right and wrong morally. And I think that we cannot get to a place in this country where we really are whole until we reckon with the whole history. This is not just Donald Trump. This is 400 years in the making, right? And so this is a part of it. This is the latest iteration of that. This is the worst of America's demons, the worst of its chickens coming home to roost. But now it's time for us to deal with them. So I do appreciate what you said.
All right, we're going to continue to talk. You guys will come back in this hour and beyond. So we'll talk in just a moment. Coming up, highlights from the star-studded inauguration.